Yes, I'm speaking English. Yes, I'm recording this with my phone. Yes, I'm not bothered to fucking edit this shit. Well, I bumped my head. I'm grabbing two Lego cars, the Red Bull and the Mercedes, because what I have just seen was insane. Alright. Ah. So, hairpin. Exit turn 4. Max. Let's go Russell. Max decides to go down the inside once again, hits Russell, and yeah, causing a collision. That's fully fucking deserved. 10 seconds for Max. However, turn 1. See, apex turn 1 right here. So, easy. Russell dive bombs Max. He never gets further alongside than this, and you can it's clear that Russell was behind Max. According to the rules, he is alongside and deserving of space, which, well, we can agree on. He was alongside and he deserves space. However, it's a chicane, so we're looking like here the exit of turn 2. Grabbing my sim racing gloves. So, exit turn 2. So they go through here. Max always was ahead, never behind. Russell comes in, there is contact. Yeah? Maybe Jordan Palmer needs some glasses because in the analysis he was completely blind to that, because even Russell had an oversteer moment a little bit. So Max goes wide. He has to go off track. He is forced off at this point. He's fully forced off. Like there was contact and yeah. So the rules of Russell is entitled to space. They just completely go out the window because he has enough space. There is a lot of space over here. And yeah, fully Dutch on accent. But to me, at turn 1, this was not on Max at all. Because Russell just hits him, in my opinion. Yes, of course, you can all say, yeah, I'm not a driver or anything, or a steward or what that, but come on, we can all share our opinions. It's a free country, world, whatever, wherever the fuck you live, but to me, the rules should be more like this, and that is that if you're behind, like at least if you're behind, like let's not look at when can you make an overtake, when are you allowed to either force someone off or not. It's better to not even force anyone off or have any contact in motorsport because it's actually a non-contact sport. But a lot of people seem to forget that. But the ideal rules is that if you cause a collision, you have to look at if was the car behind, was it in control? Well, was Russell in control? Yes, he would have made the corner easily. But if we look at the nose was behind. Clearly on the onboards, he was behind. So for Max to have need to give back the position, that was bullshit to me. But of course, that was maybe what Red Bull had decided. But I think, best thing for Max should have been that don't give back the position, keep on driving, and maybe appeal the decision of the stewards. But yeah, he didn't. He decided to, well, yeah, let's agree, let his emotions run high and decided to ram Russell in the hairpin. But looking at turn 1, just purely turn 1 and 2, where Max has to go off and go around the bollards, which he did correctly. He followed the race directions order, so can't be a penalty for that. Plus, he just got forced off. Max had no space to work with. Zero. Absolute none. So yeah, how it's a penalty, I just I cannot fathom. It was crazy last stint. And maybe some people were asking, yo, why was he on hards? Well, of course, Red Bull did not have the amount of tires available to, well, do something else, because well, the hard tire is probably the last tire they had because they already did an alternate strategy with a three stopper, and Max, amazing race for the rest because, well, if you only finish a couple seconds behind a McLaren, with that McLaren, the MCL39, great car, of course, but if you finish a couple of seconds behind that with an extra pit stop, that's impressive. So driver of the day kind of deserved. But yeah, of course, he lets his emotions run through and decides to ram Russell. But well, let's not even put it like that. It was just because Jordan Palmer was clearly blaming Max on that it was deliberate. Well, of course, he doesn't know what a deliberate crash is because he was driving in 2017 or something that looks like it because he was never that good. But anyways, those are my emotions running through. But okay, was it deliberate? Knowing Max, maybe, but probably not. What he wanted to do is same as in Jeddah 2021. For anyone that remembers, is you let by the car you were supposed to let by because something illegal happened. You forced him off and overtook him, or went off your track yourself and have to give back the position. What Max wants to do, probably, and that's something Julian Palmer did not think of completely clear, but there was that leaving someone behind can just be fully done. It's not like you have to let them pass and drop a gap behind. It's just they have to hit the position and then you can re-overtake. You can try again and you can do that very fast. So what Max was probably trying to do was exit turn 4, slow down so much that Russell was this far ahead, all right, so that he had given back the position fully, so the car was just fully behind, and then again dive into the same corner, which was of course very risky. So he dives into it, but yeah, of course, completely overcooked. But the moment where Max went straight on, and I can't believe that Julian Palmer did not think of this. If you turn a car, basically what happens is, I'll have to put it in the air like this. What happens is you turn in to the left. The car wants to do this, you know, a bit of an exaggeration, but basically it wants to do this. What happens is the left tires, and especially in a hairpin where you're not braking that hard, the left front gets lifted up. So what happens then, if you lift up and you start to turn, this wheel gets less load if you're not braking in a straight line, and it starts to lock. So the worst thing Max could have done in a situation with a dive bomb was to try and turn in, because he would have turned in, his wheels would have locked, or either one of them, and they would have both fully went off the track into the gravel. And well, then we are talking about a whole different kind of penalty, because then it would have been that would have been crazy if he had done that, but he was not trying to. I don't think it wasn't fully on deliberate, like Julian Palmer was claiming it was. Because that's a pretty big accusation, to accuse a driver of deliberately crashing. Because we know what a deliberate crash looks like, and for that I'm going to grab another Lego car. And yes, you may have seen it on the shirt, but that was this situation. Back in Formula 1 2017 season, Baku Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton leading, safety car was out, he jumps on the brakes and Sebastian Vettel runs into him. Loses bits of his front wing, of course, super frustrated. But he did out of emotion, that was deliberate. He went, and you can see the highlights online, of course. He went to the side of that, and decided to give Lewis Hamilton a little nudge. Like he literally went alongside and did it. That was deliberate. I don't think this situation was fully on deliberate. I don't think it is. Well, of course, we want to maybe see what the reaction of Max Verstappen was. I haven't heard of his reaction yet, and well, probably, I don't know if I want to, but I can already think of all the reactions on social media of famous people saying Max was out of his mind, which he was with the dive bomb at the hairpin. But the turn 1 incident, to me, that was fully on George freaking Russell. Sorry for my language. But this was fully on George Russell. Fully turn one. Because he was always behind. He tapped Max. Max had to go off and go around the bollards. He rejoined in front. It wasn't even like GP said, give the position back. George never had the position. There was no position to give back. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. There was no position to give back. And of course you can, yeah, I already know there's some fucking, yeah, how do you call that? Something that, you know, always knows better. Since, yeah, you're no racing driver or something. But I just use my eyes and think. That's it. I don't know. I've been watching Formula One for so long now, and I think I'm a fan with, well, a lot of knowledge. Let's say that. But we are allowed to express our opinion, yeah? Because if you're gonna say, Matt, you're not a driver or a steward or whatever, I am not, you know. I do know something about racing, and it's that, you know, if you're with your nose behind, if it's like this because the front axle was past the mirrors, this is what the rules say, you know, it's past the mirrors. If you ram someone else when you're like this, and you can fully ram them off with the current regulations. And a friend of mine said it perfectly. Just get rid of all those rules they have with, be ahead, or be first at the apex, or just be with your front axle alongside the mirror. Because legally said, you know, this is how far alongside you have to be deserving of space. Like, the car on the outside can turn in now or be committed to a corner. If you are, I think, before the apex, if you are at this, so basically what can happen is, this is the gap. The car can just basically dive bomb here. If he's before the apex over here, he can just, doesn't matter if he barely makes the corner. The other car on the outside just has to go off. Just goodbye. That's how it is now. And to me, that's a bit of a disappointment for Formula One itself. Yeah, because I've been talking for 12.5 minutes now. However, race for the rest. Yeah, for Spanish GP, it was pretty good. Clarence, of course, fully had walked away with it. Which, yeah, pretty sad. But yeah, to me, it's just crazy. Like, those last couple of laps, all because of a safety car, because Antonelli's engine blew up. A Mercedes engine, by the way. But yeah, unbelievable. I think it's genuinely just unbelievable that Max is getting so much blame for something, in my opinion, turn one was not on him. It was simply not, because Russell was the attacking driver and he forced him off. He forced Max off. So yeah, it would probably be just a racing incident. Sadly, because I genuinely think that Russell should have deserved a penalty for forcing another driver off track. I think the camera is way too high at the moment, but yeah, it's just a bit of a chaotic final event, crazy race. But well, knowing Max, I shouldn't be surprised if he wins the next race by over 35 seconds, because that's just the Verstappen effect if you piss him off like this. But for sure, there will be some talks at Red Bull too, that what they did with the decision of the strategy, I think Max himself probably would have accepted it more if he just stayed out on the old softs he had and then just dropped back behind, because those hard tires, like he nearly crashed. If he crashed at that final corner, that was instant red flag, race done. Because possibly other cars would have immediately driven into the wreckage of what was left of Max's car. So I don't know. Yeah, just thinking back of it, I mean, championship for Max wise, yeah, if Red Bull don't fix that car they have, then it can be pretty much over. So it'd be interesting to see nonetheless. And I'm talking sense in basically Piastri, championship being fully over for McLaren too, because so far Lando Norris is not finding it in himself. I mean, yes, Monaco was a good one-off for him, but I think it will stay at a one-off because with the pace of what Piastri has, is just, I mean, deserving. He fully deserves if he becomes the world champion, but I don't know. Knowing that Max is the reigning champion, I think he deserves a car where he can at least defend the title he currently has on his name, you know? So yeah, I don't know. We'll see, but it's weird to think that Max Verstappen would be that deliberate on attacking George Russell. But George Russell later came on the radio saying, "Yeah, I have damage to the car. Like that was basically holding his knee out after he got tackled in a football game, just trying to make it seem worse to give or to talk a penalty onto Max, of course, because that's how Russell is. He's sometimes a bit of a pussy, but all right." That's that. But yeah, I hope some teams just catch up because McLaren is walking away with it, and with incidents like these, Max losing his cool. Yeah, just come on. But yeah, we'll have to look further into the season. Canada's next. First, we have a week break, and then we have that, and we go to the mid part of the European season. Austria, I believe, after that, and then Silverstone. Tracks really enjoy, and then Belgium, I believe, and Hungary is after the summer break. So yeah, I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, so far, crazy race, crazy far part of the race. And yeah, final thoughts. Russell in the wrong on turn one, and Max was in the wrong at the hairpin. I think that's how you should see it. So yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah, goodbye, and nice evening for the rest, and I'll see you guys in another video where I probably will be talking Dutch again, but because I wanted to talk English, because if anyone sees this video, I hope they can understand me, because it might as well be someone from another country, so that's why I do this in English. However, goodbye, and on to the next one.